A round-trip flight from New York to Peru will normally run you about $800, but if you look for tickets in the right way at the right time, you could make your way to Machu Picchu for only $165. No matter where you want to go, we'll tell you everything you need to know about tracking down the most affordable flights on the market at any given time. If you follow these 10 steps, you'll be well on your way to becoming a smarter, savvier traveler. First, you're going to have to leverage your schedule to play the airfare stock market.
A lot of people think about airfares as a sort of fixed commodity, but it's actually much more like a stock. The price is determined by supply and demand. There are popular times to travel because that's when people get vacation or that's when it's good to go to this particular destination. If you are able to travel outside of those high demand times, you can actually help the airlines balance out the supply-demand equation, and you can therefore save a lot of money.
Second, utilize airfare search aggregators to find the cheapest fares available across multiple airline and destination combinations.
Sites like Kayak, Cheap Flights, Momondo, those are the wholesale aggregators that look at multiple airlines around the world and will show you their prices. It's hard to imagine that a trip from New York to Paris could be the same price as a trip from New York to LA, but it is, and sometimes it's cheaper. What a lot of these aggregators are doing is they help you find like the absolute base fare. It's kind of this little treasure hunt that you're going on to find the best possible price for your ticket. It's fun for people who love the idea that they could go anywhere.
I love finding cheap flights. I wake up every morning and I feel like a 7-year-old kid who knows there's a cookie out there somewhere, and it's my job just to go find it.
Scott Keyes, founder of Scott's Cheap Flights, is obsessed with searching for affordable flights. By combing the internet day in and day out, he has become an expert in the art of fare finding.
We spend all day, every day just searching for cheap flights. Oftentimes these cheap flights only last 4, 5, or 6 hours, so when we find them, we let subscribers know about them with enough time left that they can hopefully book it before that deal disappears. The problem is a lot of folks, they set their heart on a destination, they set their heart on dates, and only on step 3 do they end up looking at the fares. And most of the time, they're not very good.
You want to have an open mind when you're looking at airports. If you're aiming to fly to Berlin, remember that landing at Tegel isn't the only way to go. A smaller airport and a cab ride might be the more affordable game plan. Similarly, you can get creative when looking at arrival cities. If you're aiming for Paris but find a cheap flight to Milan, maybe hop on it just to get over to Europe. From there, you can zip up to Paris for as little as $35, and you get to check out the French countryside along the way. When you're scouring the internet for combinations of price ranges, flight paths, and layovers, you'll find that most of the flight deals fall into one of 2 categories: mistake fares and regular fares.
A mistake fare is discounted significantly. It's essentially winning the airfare lottery.
Mistake fares are accidental price drops on flights from any given airline. These can be caused by a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's human error. Maybe someone missed a zero and priced a flight at $150 instead of $1,500. Other times it's currency conversion errors, or partner airlines selling each other's tickets at the wrong prices. With older airlines, sometimes the internal technology is outdated. This can lead to unpredictability with airfare calculations. If you do get your hands on a mistake fare, you'll want to book it quickly.
The general rule of thumb is the better the mistake fare, the shorter it's going to last. When you find a fare for $100 between the US and Asia, that thing's probably not going to last more than a few hours. Airlines hate mistake fares. What they are doing is basically trying to limit their losses. So they try to keep an eye out for when they do happen, see people talking about on message boards and whatnot. You can't dawdle with these. You have no idea how long they're going to last. Typically it's within hours, if not minutes. And that's why we try to get it out to folks as quickly as possible, because we know we're in a race against the airline. We're selling this mistake fare at a big loss.
But how reliable are these deals? Up until 2015, the Department of Transportation required all airlines to honor all mistake fares, regardless of the price. More recently, however, the regulation has developed into less of a requirement, though airlines still have to make good faith attempts at minimizing customer inconvenience if they do decide to cancel a ticket. In addition to mistake fares, you'll also want to keep your eyes peeled for fares intentionally on sale. An airline may drastically lower the price on tickets to fill empty seats on an upcoming flight, Or it may offer intentional flight deals to drum up business in certain regions, like this round-trip flight from Houston to Madrid for just $471. Travelers may see airlines offer good deals from other airlines' hubs to steal a little business back from their competitors. While advancements in fare finding are making it easier for people to book cheap flights, airlines are also looking for ways to take advantage of the evolving marketplace. One of the biggest changes is a new approach to the layover. It's now an opportunity instead of an inconvenience.
Part of the way that Iceland became a phenomenon, long before the sort of Instagram version of this, is that Iceland Air started a layover program where they would give you a really cheap flight to Europe, but you had to do a stopover in Reykjavik in order to get there. And the stopovers weren't like 2 hours, the stopover was like 24 hours. So that meant you were spending a day in Reykjavik.
Since then, tourism to Iceland has grown year over year with no signs of slowing. The number of visitors grew on average by 20% per year between 2010 and 2014. In 2015, this rapid increase continued, with the number of foreign visitors already exceeding 1 million from January to October.
Toronto is doing this with Air Canada. There's a number of other cities that are giving it a shot. Because of that, these airlines are building brand loyalty, and these cities are getting more traffic. It's been a boon for multiple airlines.
The new marketplace has also opened the door for smaller airlines to be competitive by offering lower rates. So be sure to find the airline that works for you. You may find a cheaper flight with an airline you're less familiar with, like WOW, Norwegian, or XL Airways. However, be sure to watch out for additional hidden costs.
Budget airlines are entering the game in a big way for transatlantic travel. A lot of people are flying that way and getting used to it, but you're also tacking on a lot of fees, like how much is your bag going to cost? You have to pay for your meal in advance. You have to know you have to pay for your meal in advance, and you have to order it. If you book through a second provider like Kayak or Cheap Flights, you don't always see that fine print.
Above all, to fully take advantage of fare-finding opportunities, you will need a flexible approach to travel planning. The question is no longer, can I afford a trip? Travelers are now asking, do I have the time to take advantage of this opportunity? And am I interested in a trip to this destination? By leveraging the new tools at our disposal, we are on a path to exploring the globe with an entirely new and open mindset.
Some of the power of all of these tools being at our disposal is that the world shrinks a bit. You can find out how much is that flight to Bangkok? How much would it cost to spend a weekend in Buenos Aires?
You consider options you hadn't thought of before. You may not have thought Europe was as accessible as it is, but then you start seeing regularly that there are $400, $500 flights to major cities like London and Paris. And then you're like, well, I've been wanting to go to Paris for half my life. Let's go.
Travel is more accessible than it's ever been. If you are inclined to explore the world, there has never, ever been a better time to do it.